Sanja Simel-Pranic, and I come from, as you already know, from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Osijek, Croatia, from the Department of Pedagogy, and I work there as a postdoctoral researcher. And I'm also glad to share some of my experiences with action research, because Branko has many red pills, as I believe you all know. So he also infected me with action research, and some of my first experiences with action research was in collaboration with Branko. So I will present you in shortly one action research we did together. And but firstly, I would like to explain in how this resonated with me, this action research. First of all, I picked this action research as a methodology because it allowed me to question my own educational practice and to realize my own personal values in my professional context. And as you can see in these pictures, some most important values to me are creativity, of course, freedom, spontaneity, love, and meaningful connections with others. So I really wanted to implement all those values in my professional context, in teaching. So that means that I try to create conditions for students where they can realize their own potentials, their positive capabilities, and so on. I was focusing on these conditions in teaching. We called it positive orientation to education. But I also had critical friends who are my students participating in this action research. And when we started commenting on the web forum about our classes, and it was pedagogy, so the content was was a broad spectrum of educational topics and opportunities for developing pedagogical competences and so on. So when we first started to commenting our classes on web forum, you can see in the first image, we realized that the most comments were negative. There are very little positive comments, and there are also very little neutral comments. And so that was quite a shock. And then we learned that our critical friends, there were 3 of them, that they thought that critical thinking was one of their strengths, their positive capability, that they wanted to develop it even further. And they actually had previous experience in writing book reviews, paper reviews, and so on. And so they were very proud of this skill of theirs. But when we saw this, we realized, thank God for action research, so we have to narrow our focus of research, and we focused our collaboration on how to move to the positive side of critical thinking, not just see the problems and what is wrong and so on, but also to see the positive side of classes, to see the positive features of other classmates, other students, and themselves at the end. So this process was very challenging, and you can see in the other picture the oscillations during semester, how these positive, neutral, and negative messages on forum, how they were going. So there were many challenges, and there were a lot of conflicts during this period. So why that happened? First of all, it happened because we had very different perspectives on education that were a result of our different personalities, the different values we stand for. And the most important thing is that we all learned how to be open about it, and how to be open and accept other people's points of view, and not to get offended by it, and how to say it in an acceptable way. Because it is not very pleasant and comfortable feeling when they don't agree with your values and so on. So it was very personal, and and like Clara said, it is very challenging, and we need to find a way to cope with it. This is a picture of my 3 critical friends, and also one of the questions that emerged here is how open are we to change when we enter the action research? Because it really implies the personal development, not just professional context. And this was the main revelation for me in this action research, that how much this professional development during action research is connected to personal development. And this made me to believe that there is, we can't move forward as professionals if we don't work on ourselves, because values it is all what is all about. And it definitely implies the leaving of our comfort zone. And it was very challenging, because my students had very formed defensive mechanism. So they tend to be very critical, very negative, and I was like, oh my God, they don't like me. And I had to find a way to accept it and to cope with it and to understand it. And this process helped us to realize where do our opinions, our behavior come from. And one of the realization, for example, was that the most critical of my 3 critical friends was like that because she didn't want to become a teacher, but she was stuck on a teacher education program because they didn't have a scientific program that she wanted to enroll in. So, but it was really interesting because she also didn't make this connection. She wanted this. She knew this wasn't the place she wanted to be, but she thought that no, this is my opinion. This approach, student-centered approach, doesn't work. We can't focus only on positive. This is very negative approach, and so on. But she didn't actually make the connection that this attitude and this opinion is the result of her dissatisfaction with the place where she was at and with her own values, and that actually the fact that she was not able to realize her own potentials that she wanted. And actually this proved me that very significant changes happened during this process because we understood each other, and there were conflicts, but it also made me realize that I don't have to run away from these conflicts, that this can help us to understand each other better, to accept each other, and to create and to make even more meaningful connections with each other. And I think this is the most important thing in teaching, because it is all based on relationships, and to accepting each other, and to be able to really negotiate about our values, and to accept that there are more right values, not just I'm right, you are wrong. So I believe really that there is a magic that happens in the overlap between personal and professional here. So thank you very much.